Hello everyone, so here is Moonlight Soul and my good friend Adrienne Gibson from EA Astrologer, and we're going to talk about the Libra Lunar Eclipse that is taking place literally a few hours from now. Hello Adrienne, nice to see you again.
Hello, Mila. Yes, it's nice to see you
How
on
are
this
you?
exciting occasion just before the eclipse.
Right. Yeah, the intensity is building for sure.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that it is. That it is.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are going through a lot of patterns of the past being in a sense pushed in our face and seeing where there is imbalance in our life.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I just forgot that I had somebody from the past jump into my life just today. Very interesting.
Yeah, must be also all these conjunctions that happening with Neptune.
Yeah, yeah. I would imagine.
Cool. So whenever you're ready, Adrienne, we can
All
start.
right. I am going to pull up this full moon eclipse here. All right, so this is for here in Eastern Standard Time in Tennessee. And so it'll shift for whatever time zone you're in, but this will be the order of the planets.
Exactly. Yeah, for me it's 1 a.m. here in
One,
Mexico.
so it'll be 3 a.m. here.
It's crazy to think that it's literally a few hours, a few hours from now when we record in this.
Yeah, it is literally.
Cool.
Um,
So take
yeah.
it away. Start wherever you like.
Well, one of the biggest things that I've noticed, the very first moment that I looked at this chart, I was like, wow, we have a whole bunch of planets in Pisces and a whole bunch of planets in Aries. And to me, this is significant because it means that a cycle is closing and all those planets in, well, not the node, the North Node and Chiron, but the Sun and Mercury have both been through Pisces themselves. And so they are assisting in this new direction with Chiron in the North Node. So I think that's one of the biggest pushes that's happening right now, the ending and the beginning of a cycle. So I look at it as like a doorway. You know, we're literally sitting at the doorway of change.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely what I've been tapping into. And also, as we can see, the closing phase between the Sun and North Node and the eclipse itself and the South Node. And that was also the story during the conception point, during the solar eclipse in Libra in October. Again, it was in a closing phase. But at the same time, just like you said, there are planets already in a new phase. Mercury already conjuncted North Node, so did Chiron, and Mercury is how we identify reality and connect with our external environment in order to learn, because this is a school of life. This is what we came here to do. And the other interesting thing which we are talking about is that even though we are in Aries season and everything is slowly moving into Aries, Mars is going to be in Pisces for the entire Aries season. So again, the endings and beginnings.
Yeah, for sure. I think another very important aspect on this chart is this closing phase between Uranus and Jupiter, because it's in Taurus, and, and Taurus is very linked to the Venus, um, this which is the also linked to Libra, and the moon being in Libra and the south node being in Libra are really looking at the way that we have connected ourselves with the outer world. And this is part of what is changing, this connection as we align ourselves to the outer world. We've it's almost like we neglect the inner world. And this is the direction that the North Node is taking us, in a new direction towards ourselves. And so I think that's an important distinction to make. And it's linked to the beliefs, what's the truth about our bodies? Our bodies are like this vessel that, has all this divine knowledge and sensations that can really be the guide for us instead of this outer world where we've been through the whole Pluto and Capricorn where we're learning to not um, be guided through the outer world, through the societal norms, but to literally turn towards ourselves with what it is. And this connection to me is like looking at how do we come into the body and what our beliefs about the body are. And so I see this as, changing the beliefs about what our bodies are. And to me, with it aligning with Uranus, it's like something shocking could happen, it seems to me like it might be an abrupt change where we will, all of a sudden become conscious of how important our bodies are. And, I can't imagine what that will look like. But it was just something that came to me yesterday. So I thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, and I think it's also very interesting that we have the Yod once again pointing to the south node, and now it's between Jupiter, south node, and Venus and south node from the other side. And Venus is the ruler of both. Venus is the ruler of the eclipse. Venus is the ruler of the south node because the eclipse is happening on a south node. So there is something of the past getting illuminated to us, and because the south node is this like you were talking about, they're relating to the external environment, not just people themselves, because this is something that we established. This is not just our relationship with humans. This is our relationship with our environment, with our life, with our external, because this is how we're learning about ourselves, our external environment, our life, the people, the circumstances, the situation, everything. It's the mirror. This is what is helping us to learn about ourselves. This is what we came here to do, school of life. And of course, at the same time, we are contributing to the collective learning and experience, because the individuals are part of collective, and the collective is made of individuals. So everything is a mirroring. So I think it's very interesting how we have in these in conjunctions, and both connected with Venus. Venus is in Pisces. By this stage, Venus is in a new phase, because Venus just had a conjunction with Saturn a couple of days ago, from the day when we're recording this, actually. And in conjunction is a blind spot. And this is literally what you were just describing. Venus had a conjunction with Saturn, is in a new phase. Saturn is in Pisces. We can no longer look up to this external hierarchical system, patriarchal system, to this way that we were, how our world was designed for us, because we contributed to it subconsciously because we didn't understand. And now with this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and by association also Uranus, being connected to this Yod, even though it's the exact in conjunction between Jupiter and the South Node, because the story is ending, it's maxed out, it's finished, everything is in Pisces, Mars is in Pisces, finished. We don't see. But how else it can be a different way? We don't know. We weren't being taught. We weren't being shown. We weren't being trained, in a different way. We were being trained in a Libra way and this Capricorn way, in that lower vibration of externalization of a power and looking up to the other, which doesn't create much of a justice. It's not really scale, right? And I know for myself and also my soul sister Marissa, this card of Six of Pentacles, which is about giving and receiving, Pentacles, the tangible, so that which we see in our life as individuals and in a collective manifestation, it is not very balanced, is it? So this is where we can't see how we're going to change this. But the Yod, the finger of God, is pointing to the south node, where you're not going to find it there anymore. You're going to find it
exactly. And this points to what I'm saying about it's literally time to turn inward. This new phase between Saturn and Pisces, and the closing phase between Jupiter and Uranus, which are the sextile energy with this Yod, is showing us that we need to believe about the body differently, and we need it's like a connection with spirit through our inner bodies, and it requires a turning in, some form of meditation, some form of listening, but it's not listening, it's listening with an inner ear to what our bodies are telling us, because our bodies are instruments. They're very sensitive, and it's almost like we haven't really been taught to pay attention to those sensitivities. But this, I think, is part of this new energy that we're dealing with Aries. We're learning to turn inward to ourselves, and to listen to our bodies, and yeah, we're not doing the South Node anymore. I mean, yes, it's not going to go anywhere. We're going to have to deal with the outer world because we're in the outer world, but we're integrating now is this new direction of incorporating what's happening from inside us.
Exactly. So we're going to learn to consciously create our world, because it's always been created. Everything is from inside out, not outside in. The outside in is just the it's just, how you say, when we accumulate the information, it's just the information gathering. The inside out is how we create. The outside in is just the information that's coming back to us to tell us about the creation that is happening.
Exactly.
So this is what I feel is happening, that you know, it's to become a conscious creators of the inside out, because it's always been thus. We just weren't aware. Is the blind spot between the Jupiter and the South Node. It's always been this way. You know, we just weren't seeing it because we were being told a different story. We were being told the story of us being insignificant, not good enough, unworthy, always have to try become better and more perfect and look up to someone else to tell you what that actually means. And that story is finished. That story lost meaning, you know, like even with Venus as the ruler of Jupiter, Uranus, and the South Node, Venus is still in a closing phase to Neptune. It lost meaning. It lost meaning. Venus and Saturn are already in a new phase, which is saying now we are creating a new reality from within.
Yes, from within.
Co-creation.
Exactly.
Co-creation with the spirit.
Exactly. And this goes along with this, undercurrent, which is Pluto. Pluto is asking us to step away from the way we've done things before. We're having a brand new journey. And part of that is linking to our hearts, which is our inside ourselves. We're to our true self, and to really incorporate like love and joy and the creativity that we have coming from within ourselves. And I think it's really important part of this whole, I've been calling it the like clog, everything's clogged up down there.
And
But
it will remain so even for the next one.
Yeah, even for the next one, it's just moving ahead a little bit, but for sure.
But I mean, actually, Pluto is trining the eclipse. You know, it's a sextile in Sun. It's still within a degree, but it's trining the Moon. It's trining the eclipse. So this is what I was trying to help people understand, that no matter what's happening, no matter what's happening, no matter what label we want to attach to it, no matter what polarities we want to attach to it, it is exactly in alignment with where we're going, with what on an evolutionary like trajectory, if you can say that, is desired at this time, because Pluto is the soul's desire. In this case, Pluto is in Aquarius, is the collective desire. Aquarius is the people, is the tribe, is the humanity. Aquarius, the star card in tarot, is the hope for the future. Pluto is trining the eclipse. So no matter what's going to be taking place, no matter what's happening, no matter how many more crises and how many more imbalance we will see, we know this is happening to get, because like when we reach the bottom, there is only way up. So how far do we need to go down the bottom to start going up? Because we need to find a point of balance again. So this is what this Pluto being ruled by Uranus being ruled by Venus, and Venus sextile in Uranus and Jupiter and all this rest of it, and Venus then being the ruler of the eclipse. It's all in alignment. It is in alignment.
It is. Absolutely. And it's exciting times for me. I'm just excited to see what's coming next.
Yeah, and I mean, just the fact that we have these Chiron Mercury free conjunctions, because Mercury is just about to go retrograde soon on April 1st. This is helping us to adjust, adjust to this new way, because Mercury is going to hit Chiron 3 times, already hit it once. And as I mentioned previously, that each time will be Mars as the ruler in different sign. Each time they have conjunction, the two of them. This is shifting us, forward. It's helping us to make adjustments, because Mercury is how we gather information, isn't it? And being in Aries, it's saying, well, we have to gather information in a new way and align them with the spirit, because Mars is in Pisces.
Because Mars is in Pisces, yes. And Neptune in Pisces. I was thinking the other day how, Jeffrey Wolf Green talked about Pisces, the Neptune energy was like being in a rowboat in the middle of the ocean, and it's so foggy and you can't really tell where you are, what direction to go. And when you can't use your senses externally, the only way is to turn internally and follow the inner guide. And I think that that's a very lot of what that energy in Pisces is talking about. We're literally having to turn inward to be able to guide ourselves.
Yes.
Forward.
Like, to me, like, and I know we spoke about it last time about the cosmic reset, it literally is the entire planet Earth is resetting itself. Cycles of the past are closing and new cycles are already here. So now we are in this, in the in between, in the Vesica Pisces. We are in that point in between where the two collide, the two circles collide. We are exactly in the midpoint of the Vesica Pisces.
I love that. Yeah.
That's what I feel. That's what I'm tapping into. And that's what I can see also looking at the chart with all these Pisces, Aries energies. And the only odd thing there is this, Aquarius, Taurus, and
Libra, right? Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. And they're they don't really see each other, that Libra and Taurus. So when we're focused on the outer world, we don't actually pay attention to the inner world. It's blind. So what this energy is telling us is it's time to focus on the inner world. When we focus on the inner world, the outer world will become blind, but we'll have so much more information coming from the inside, because our bodies and in connection with spirit is the energy. It's what's smart. It's what knows what to do next, instead of following what's happening on the outside. It makes me think of that old saying about the blind leading the blind leading the blind, and they both fall in the ditch.
Absolutely. And I really feel that this is, just like, oh my God, I just lost the thought of what you were saying just right now, because of this blind leading the. What you were saying, tell me the whole. No. It just escaped me. Oh yeah, this turning inwards. Yes, because we feel like we need to accumulate information from going outwards, but that is just that is again, it's just the feedback mechanism. It's not the information, that is the feedback mechanism to help us to understand ourselves. And many people, the problem with this, what we say in here is this old wounding that comes out about, well, aren't I selfish? Like, what am I doing? I need to put other people's first. That's what a good person does. But actually, when you take care of yourself and your need, and you know yourself, then you can take better care of everyone else. So this is what I feel, that eventually things will come back to balance again. You know yourself, you know who you are, you can put healthy boundaries, and that creates healthier relationships. And also it will create the pressure on the other to also do their own healing, because when we say no to things that are not acceptable, we stop enabling just because we try to people please and be nice people. Then these people have to change, because eventually if everybody say no, actually you are responsible, and this is again the thing where people struggle, because it's not just black and white. Doesn't mean you don't go and help no one, but it's like, to which. And this is where people need to use discernment based on what feedback mechanism are you getting, and how does this situation make you feel. If we keep repeating the same thing and it actually doesn't help the person to feel more empowered, but it drains us, then obviously something is not right. I call it enabling. Right. This is not helping, this is enabling, because it's not allowing the other person to learn that lesson. Because if we try to help and nothing is changing and we feel drained, and that person hasn't changed, right? Because it's up to them to change, we can't change them. it's enabling. So going back to this Taurus, what I was trying to say is that people might struggle to take care of themselves because they did put other people first. And I know a lot of people have dependent, like children and stuff, but if you don't take care of yourself, then what kind of example are we giving to the others? Because we think like, oh, well, you know, if I take care of other people, then I'm a good person. But not necessarily, not in the evolutionary, through the evolutionary lens. Because like I said, to which extent we are helping and to which extent we are enabling bad behavior, which then keeps perpetuating itself, which is what we can see in the world. Like we need to help each other to become stronger in ourselves, not to fix the problem for someone else.
Correct.
Because we didn't come here to live other people's life. We came here to live our experience, and through that experience to you know, to be of service to others and contribute to co-creation of a better world. But it starts with you.
Love that. Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see that. And a lot of it, you know, it's a mind change. It's literally this Mercury in Aries. We have to begin to think differently, and we have to end the what we believe. You know, the Mercury and the Jupiter are linked together. You know, this perspective, a new perspective is needed, and an old belief that we've been holding on to, which is to align with other people in this external way, is over. Like you're saying, you know, we can't continue to be codependent in this way, because we're not growing. We just stay in the same hole. We stay in these patterns that are not healthful, you know. It just like you know, it makes me think of the wars that are going on in the world. This is, you know, just an incompatible with life behavior of dealing with the world outside of ourselves. And I think a lot of it is linked to not being focused inside of ourselves, and people group together, you know, when it's on the outside. And it's interesting because what seems to be happening is this, you know, you start to choose sides outside. You're not thinking from within, you're not feeling from within, you're linking to what's on the outside of the body. And this has led humanity into a place where we are in huge detriment. And I think now is the time. The universe is lining us up. The earth is lining us up, where we're definitely focused on moving inward. And there are things that we can do to help that, to learn that. You know, meditation is a really, you know, start off 10 minutes a day, sit in a very quiet place, close your eyes and focus on your breath. 10 minutes, and increase it over time, and just see what happens. You know, pay attention to what's happening inside the body.
Yeah, and you get used to it, you start craving it. And actually, it's interesting that you mentioned the war, because of course that's what is the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about. But actually, can we see what is the first response? Oh yeah, let's like, not from people, but from the leaders. Let's send ammunition. Let's send more soldiers. Well, how is that going to resolve the problem? It's going to create more of the same problem. War creates more war. It doesn't create peace. That's not how it works. You know, so again, like like, you know, that again, people might get triggered and say like, well, then what are we supposed to do? Like, do nothing? Well, no, actually, the work you do on yourself is helping everyone, even though we look at it through the linear way, where we think like, well, but I need to go and do something or give money or something. And, you know, if you have, then give, you know, if it makes you feel better. But the main impact is the energetical. So and we already spoke about this, we need to create the opposite energy. If there is an energy of fear and lack and death, then it's your responsibility to go and create the opposite energy, create the energy of love and joy and connection. Because, and exactly like you said with the war, these things, and whatever it is, we could even see with the celebrities when they divorce, team this, team that, and stuff. But what difference does it make? It's still creating the same problem, it's dividing people, right? So it doesn't matter like who is the loser and winner and whose fault it was. what we're trying to do is bridge the gap. We're trying to connect the two. We're not trying to keep separating them.
Correct.
So that's why it doesn't matter which side, and you know, like we have to start thinking in a bigger pictures. Like, yes, there was some problem that took place or something which created this story and this hate and whatever, you know, and like, but, and this is what I keep saying all the time in my videos recently, we need to understand the higher meaning. Because yes, when we look at it just at the face value, they did this to this country and this, and there is forever hate between the two. But if you take it back to basics of these babies coming out of the wound, they don't, you know, they don't hold this, you know, like, yeah,
No.
I hate you and you this
No.
and you that, it doesn't matter. So if we have to look at things from the broader, wider perspective, while we still holding the human, you know, way of identifying reality, because it's useful, you know, to help us through the mundane everyday stuff. But we need to also look at the deeper meaning. That, okay,
Yeah.
what was the deeper meaning? In this deeper meaning is always to help us to learn something, to see something, and then we can change the pattern, because it doesn't matter where it started and whose fault it was. Because if we accept that we are all connected and all impacting one another and coming from the same and returning back to the same place, it doesn't even matter whose fault it was. It's about what do we do with it now.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not sure what to say about it next.
Well, I think, you know, the thing that is obviously, you know, right there for us to pay attention to is these closing phases between the moon and the south and the sun and the north. And
Absolutely.
for the next eclipse, we already gonna have new phase, because the sun and that's gonna be a new moon, so sun and moon will be together. It will be in a new phase with the north node, because the conjunction is taking place 4 days prior, and so will during the next solar eclipse in Libra in October. Again, it will be a new phase. So this is the last of it. We had the last sun Pluto conjunction, 29 degrees 59 minutes. We are having the last Pluto retrograde through Capricorn. As we know, once Pluto is done with the sign, it's done. So
Yes.
this is why things are becoming so extreme right now, because it's the last of it. And before things get better, they always, you know,
They always get worse.
escalate. So
Yes.
this is why we have to understand the meaning, because if we just look at it at the face value, people become hopeless. They become like, well, there is no point, you know, it's just doom and gloom and all the rest of it. That's why we need to understand the meaning. You know, these things
Yes.
would not be happening if we weren't ready to shift, if we weren't ready to deal with them. The fact that they are happening and they're all happening at once to this intensity, means we are so close to that shift.
Yes.
And we can see astrologically exactly what and when is happening. We are so close. The energy is already there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the energy between like this Uranus, Jupiter, and the North Node is like, you know, it's the beginning of the turning in phase. It's like right at that semi-square. It's just at the beginning of the point where it's turning in, which begins the part of the Venus archetype, the Taurus archetype. So, and it can be intense. It's like, I always liken the energy shifts to like stirring a bucket of water. And when you change the direction, because that's what's happening. We're going from the out breath to the in breath, right? It causes a little bubbling, you know, and it's this intensity. And I think that that's also part of what we're seeing in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but it's all to actually, just like you said, help us understand the truth about yourself, like about who you actually are and what you're capable of. And we will never know what that is until we are sometimes, you know, pushed to the limits, when we have to prove it to ourselves that actually everything that I ever experienced in my life, I survived and I'm here. And I will survive whatever else is coming. So this is what is forcing us, just like you said, the whole point of the story at the moment is to go back inwards. It's not necessarily what we are not trying to tell people that you just go and ignore the world and sit in your room all day meditating, because this is also not a human experience, which majority of us came here to have. It's very helpful, but we still need to be able to integrate it into our mundane 3D, right? So what I've been
Absolutely.
trying to say that there has to be a balance, just like with everything. But for the answers you are seeking, you need to go inwards. Sometimes we, like, for example, for me, I get a lot of information from spirit by thing popping up on my, you know, screen. Like there is this video to go watch and stuff, and there is the information that I didn't even know I was seeking. So sometimes it is like that. But in order to pay attention to these synchronicities and signals, you need to be attuned. You need to be attuned to yourself. So, and for that, we
Yes.
need to have that time to spend with ourselves, to go into that body, because the body is the instrument for us to connect with everything, you know, even to connect to channel and stuff. It's coming through this body, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why the body is so important to come into, and because really we're learning how to do it. And I think that that's what the South Node is saying. We have in the past spent all of our consciousness outside of ourselves, and we need to begin the process of turning inward.
And I also feel that another thing that's coming to me, which, you know, me and you already discussed prior to recording, was that how interesting that majority of us struggle with the body image, with the relationship to ourselves. And you know, I'm as guilty as everyone else. I really struggle with that. And I, you know, like, this is again what we've been conditioned to believe, that no matter, you know, what we do, how we look, what we try, is never perfect, is never good enough, right? So
Yes.
with this Jupiter Uranus conjunction, this is what closing phase conjunction, this is also what I feel is coming up like really strongly for many of us, that if we are in a rejection, and I can again speak from my own experience, I had eating disorder when I was a child. When we are in a rejection of this body, which is actually the powerful instrument of connection with the spirit and the divinity and the sense of empowerment, if we are at war with ourselves for whatever reason, because of these stories and the labeling and the program, then it's very hard, you know, because we try to escape. We try to escape being here in this body. We try to escape feeling into our feelings and stuff. So with this Jupiter Uranus closing phase conjunction, this is also what I feel a lot of people might be experiencing and coming up with, that where do we feel disconnecting from ourselves and why?
Yes. And why? And a lot of it has to do with that South Node in Libra, where we've been measuring ourselves up against other people, and you know, other body types, and you know, other ways people look, instead of turning ourselves inward and going with what feels good for us, and not actually caring with what other people's body types are, or
Yeah,
you
because
know.
this is also what we can see when there are some tragedies or difficult situations going on in the world. Nobody's gonna go and say like, "Hey, you haven't washed your hair for a week." Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. So this is where I feel like things are kind of being a little bit pushed in a, you know, and it's, again, I'm not saying don't take care of yourself, you know, like we still have a certain level of vanity being humans,
Oh,
but like put it in the right perspective, like what is
sure.
actually important, what are the priorities here?
I
And
mean,
that's why yeah.
yeah, we definitely have to take care of ourselves. I mean, that is our responsibility, as
Yeah.
far as, you know, grooming ourselves, keeping our body clean, whatever it is that we need to do as individuals to keep ourselves healthy, that is our responsibility. But as far as, like, you know, I just remember a story of a friend of mine from a long time ago, who talked about she never felt good enough because she couldn't have the same jeans that all the kids were wearing in school, because their family couldn't afford it.
Mhm.
And it always made her feel negative about herself. And so as she got to have her own kids, I remember shopping with her, and we always used to go to thrift stores, but she would be looking through to make sure that all the clothes that she got her children were name brands, because of this connection that she had with her childhood and not being able to have those things. But this is, it's like for showing on the outside. It's this Libra archetype, you know, where I can't wear this because it's not what's in, or because it's not made of the wealthiest cloth. And I don't know. It just, to me, that stuff doesn't really matter that much.
To me, not either, but you know, it's showing up in different ways in my life. But again, we go back to the point of externalizing our powers, seeking validation externally, and we will never find it, because the more, even like imagine, even if the external environment gives you the validation, you know, for example, if you are a celebrity and you're gorgeous and everybody admires you and everybody loves you, there's still going to be someone that's going to point you exactly what's wrong with you through all these gossip magazines, you know, and stuff like that. So until people actually find that center within and the sense of self-worth and value, where they're not affected to such an extent where it can, you know, send them down the spiral of like drinking problems or, you know, drug problems or whatever, where we want to detach, not feel, not deal with this, right? Until people have that sense of safety and security and stability within, and the sense of self-worth, which can only come when we reconnect and, you know, heal from deep within, and also reconnect to our true essence of who we are. And it's a continuous process. That's the thing. People might feel like, oh yeah, if I look this way, have this weight, my face looks like this, then it, I'll be happy. No, because life is a continuous learning, right? But when we learn to find that safety and security and that a still point within, then it doesn't mean we won't be affected, but not as much, and it won't take us so long to actually come back to the point of balance, or it won't be affecting our entire day or something, you know. So if we keep externalizing our power and seeking that from the someone else, then it always will hold the power over us and our experience.
Yes.
And that's why we will keep attracting it, because it's our higher self trying to help us to learn the lesson.
To learn the lesson. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I was just noticing that you were talking earlier about the yacht that's formed with the Jupiter and the Venus. And then I'm also noticing, because you don't always have, I mean, you don't always have, but you will always have it with, when you're talking about the nodes, this, what they call the, oh, no, I can't even remember what you call it. The point that's right in between.
The midpoint.
Yes, is the North Node, pointing again that this is the direction, is to literally turn into the self, to align our emotional security in a very new way towards ourselves, this North Node in Aries. So again, it's pointing to that direction where we really need to find the balance between the outer world and the inner world.
To me, it's just like, it's so fascinating how literally everything is taking us back to the same place. It doesn't matter what you look at and where you start, it's still taking us back to the same place, which is this complete reset. Complete reset.
I mean,
Everything...
that's what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost like, as I was doing my moon report, it's almost like every paragraph that I was writing was saying the same thing. So when I get to the end of it, I'm like, well, this is it. You know, we're having the reset.
Yeah, because it literally is maxed out. That's the word that's been coming up through my readings, through my clients, is maxed out. We're not getting much more juice out of this dead body, you know. It's dead, you know, it's right there, like we can see it manifested. So, you know, like, I know that this creates a lot of insecurity, because it's like, well, what we replacing it, where we going? And I mean, the things are still like standing, like they're not going to disappear tomorrow, because we are in the process. As we can see the chart, there are things in a new phase, there are things in a closing phase. Nothing is always just in one place. And it's the same like in our life, you know, we are always involved in a lot of different things, because, and that's the problem, you know, people know that if they focus their entire attention on a relationship or something, then, and this something goes wrong with that, then they feel like, oh my god, I lost everything. Well, you didn't. You just focused all your attention on one place, and that's not healthy, right? So this is like with the chart, you know, like, yeah, we have a lot of concentration in Pisces, in Aries, but Pisces is the totality and Aries is the new beginning. So it's pretty much, we have two opposite poles, which is like totality of everything that came before, and from that we are starting something different, but we're not forgetting where we've been. This Pisces remembers everything that came before. So
yes,
and with the Libra is about the balance, you know, trying to find the midpoint.
yes, absolutely.
It's just like, I always get so you know, so flustered when I'm talking about the sun and the phases, because you know, with Sun and Neptune, they just had a conjunction literally a week ago on the 17th, but now Neptune is in a closing phase, which again makes sense, doesn't it? That they just had a conjunction, new beginning, but it took it in a closing phase, endings, new
Yep.
beginning, endings. So
And
it's
it's
like,
that same energy. It's like a repeating of the energy that's this whole chart is about,
yeah.
you know? New beginnings and endings. That's what's happening.
Yeah, and ending always it represents new beginning, you know, it's the continuous cycle.
It is the spiral.
Yeah. But we know that this is happening exactly as it might because of the Pluto trine to the eclipse. And because it's an eclipse, it's gonna be very heightened. The emotions connected with it are very heightened. So even the things that potentially before were like meh, you know, don't pay too much attention. Now everything is a big deal. Everything
Yeah.
is a big deal because you know it's all coming out there. And this Libra is like really bringing people, circumstances, environments, external dynamics that are really like challenging.
Exactly. Very intensified. And my guess is that, you know, people are even feeling it. We're what, 12 hours out? A little less than 12 hours before this, and I've been feeling the energy for a couple of days, but I have my moon in Pisces, so I tend to feel the energy a little bit earlier.
Yeah, about a week. Yeah, I've been feeling it for about a week now, very intensely for about past 4 days. And
Yeah.
I have moon in Cancer. So
Yeah. Well, there you go.
yeah.
But for these next 2 weeks, the energy is going to be intense. I mean, it's like we're gonna be seeing aligning with this south node moon because it's the opposition, right? So it's going to be intensely showing us the mirror, what's happening outside of us. We're going to be paying attention to that. And and at the same time, we're also going to be intently feeling the need to take this new direction and watching the dissolving of what has been. It's all of it. It's going to be so intense. I mean, I can't even say anything more about it, but very, very heightened.
And I just like, you know, by paying attention to the transits and how they happen in exact, you know, through the ephemeris and stuff, to me it's very interesting that after all these big lunations that we are having, it's like, well, obviously not energetically, but with regards to activity in the sky, it's quiet. So like we have this massive eclipse, right? Like all this intensity. And then literally between Monday and Sunday, which is the day of the eclipse in the end of the week, the only thing that's going to happen exact is Venus sextile to Uranus. That's it. And this is what I feel like. This is how we can see that the impact, energetical impact of this lunation is huge, because why else would universe just go, okay, let's give them a breather, you know, let's give them a breather because they need to integrate this energy.
We're going to need it before the next onslaught with this the new moon on the 8th of April. We're going to going to need a little breathing space.
Yeah, and that one is really gonna poke because it's
Oh
happening
yeah.
in exact conjunction with Chiron.
Yes.
So
It
definitely.
is.
So all I'm saying is just, well, observe what is bringing to the surface of your consciousness by being mirrored by the external environment. What is the external environment mirroring to you that helps you to understand what is out of balance and where things are not going quite comfortably anymore? And how can we make a correction within ourselves, because we cannot change other people. We can just, you know, make a change within ourselves and then be able to put boundaries based on how worthy we feel with the external environment. So we don't self-sacrifice anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for people that have planets in Libra and Aries might feel this eclipse quite intently, and also if they're got planets in Capricorn and Libra, because then we'll be having squares, and you know the first quarter square or the third quarter square is, you know, going to bring a little bit of tension. So I mean, either way that you look at it on a cardinal sign, it'll be in.
It's a change. Yeah, cardinal signs, new beginnings, change of season, and we know we just entered the new astrological year after the eclipse.
Yep.
Eclipse equinox.
Oh, yeah.
And the first lunation of this astrological year is the eclipse, so that's telling. And yeah, and I feel that, you know, by the Cancer season, which is when we have the 2 full moons in Capricorn, things will be, you know, playing out even in a more intense way, because that will be the season which is being squared by these eclipses.
Exactly.
So I feel between whatever gets stirred now, the next hit will be in summer.
Yeah. And then the cleanup in October.
Oh yeah, that's the end. That's the culmination of this cycle. The new cycle is the beginning.
And then a new cycle is the beginning. Exactly.
But you know, next year holds a very different energy, because Pluto will be done fully with Capricorn in November this year, and then next year we're already going to start having Neptune and Saturn dipping their toes into Aries, new beginning, and the nodes will shift.
The nodes will shift in January.
Exactly. Yep. So we just need to get through this year one way or another.
Yeah, well, you know, it's not like we can skip over it. We just have to do the day-to-day process.
Exactly, Virgo.
Right, exactly.
Step by step.
Step by step, you know, and I think that if we can really each day, just even a small portion of the day, if you can, to turn inward, I think it will be a positive effect on how you begin to align inside your body, which is so, so important for this. To be able to do the integration, we have to be able to connect with feeling what's inside of our bodies.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't get lost on me that the last Chiron Mercury conjunction in Aries, once Mercury is post-retrograde, will be happening the day before new moon in Taurus, by which point Mars will be already in Aries. So whatever April brings, between now and end of April, I feel is gonna give us another nudge in that direction of reconnection, because it really works that way. Like, you cannot expect someone else to create the reality you want for you. No. You need to do it for yourself.
Absolutely.
So this is why self-care, self-love, and this discipline with regards to, no, I need at least 10 minutes every day. It's to make you strong. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity.
Yes, it is. I mean, really part of what is necessary for survival.
Yeah, it's Taurus.
Exactly.
If you want to go to the bottom of it, it's survival.
And I find it interesting that our outer world is so loud. Like, you know, it's like sparkly, sparkly. Oh, watch this, listen to this. There's like all of this energy that really is strongly pulling out of ourselves all the time.
Distractions, and I think
a lot of distractions. And I think that if we can pull it in just a little bit at a time and maybe increase that over time, don't even worry about increasing it. Just get there for at least a few minutes of every day and begin the process.
And like I said, we get used to anything. So it might be just like with exercise. It's very hard to get into, but then the body gets used to it and then it starts craving it. It's the same with meditation. You know, like I meditate, like, I mean, if I have very busy day, at least 10 minutes, usually, sometimes 2 hours, you know, it varies. But the body starts craving it, because it's that connection that is actually good for you. You know, so, and I would advise everyone, you know, like I've done it myself. Of course, not everybody has the luxury like me, you know, that I don't have dependents. Turn off your Wi-Fi, turn off your phone, turn off your data, turn off your notifications. You know, this is what I do. I go and deal with my emails, messages, when I am in the right place and I have the time. I don't have this bing, 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 bing with the phone notifying me of all these million things. And then we get, you know, then we get like, oh my God, I need to respond. I need to go and watch this video. I need to go and do this. And, you know, it's all this continuous pressure. So it's like, no, just turn off the notification, turn off your Wi-Fi when you want to have these 10 minutes to meditate or whatever. The world will not stop. It will not end. Again, like
No,
I said, use your discernment. Your circumstances are very different from mine or your Adrienne. But just whatever adjustments you can do that work for you, that actually will give you this whatever you need.
absolutely. I had a friend tell me the other day that she set her phone up so that she could check her mail and her messages and those things, but she only had 10 minutes and then it locked her out. I was like, oh, how do you do that? As a way to help her to not be so focused on that, because it's a time waster. I mean, I know I've said before, it was in November where I finally I had the understanding that I had to take the game off of my phone, because I would just absentmindedly just turn the game on and then time would escape, and I took it off the phone and it has made such a difference. So,
Yeah.
and those times where I would feel like, oh, I should maybe I could put the game on for a little while. That's the time that I should sit and meditate. It's like, okay, you've got a few minutes that you're not doing something. How about sit and meditate?
Yeah, and I just wanted to actually add, because I know some people, because perhaps they had traumatic experiences and stuff, I know for some people it could be triggering to close your eyes, but you don't have to. You can just look at the blank wall or look into the space. If you have a garden, just focus on a still point. It doesn't have, because I know for some people it could be a problem to close their
Sure.
eyes. And I mean, even like if you have a monkey mind like mine, that is very, very difficult to quiet it down. Just help yourself. Start with guided meditations, because the brain needs to focus on something. So whether it's the still point, whether it's the blank wall, whether it's something in your head, or you start counting numbers backwards, just something, and eventually you will master it. It's not going to happen the first day. And again, it's important for people to stop beating up themselves up about not being perfect the first time they try something, because that's, for many people, it discourages them, that they don't get the result they want tomorrow, so that's it, is not working. But over the time you will see the difference. Like, I can definitely see a difference. Even if I meditate 10 minutes every day, it makes much more difference than when I used to meditate for 1 hour, but then I couldn't dedicate 1 hour every day, so I would do it twice a week or something. Just there
Yes.
has to be a certain regularity, because just the same way we sleep and eat and drink every day, your body needs to rest. Your brain needs to be able to disconnect from all the stimuli.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's really important.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Cool. So we added some practical application over here too.
Yeah, we did. Perfect.
Well, hopefully this has been helpful to someone.
Yes.
Is there any last words, Adrienne?
You know, I would say prepare that change is coming. Be patient with yourself and do the best you can to ride through these times. And yeah, if you need some help, reach out to an astrologer.
Yeah, if you want to understand what's going on for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just say, just when we understand the meaning, so if we just understand that there is even though it makes no sense to human mind, but there is a meaning and purpose to what we are experiencing right now,
Yes.
straight away it kind of like brings a little bit of peace, like a little bit, like, okay, well, and also the understanding you are not alone. Because I know a lot of people might feel very isolated. They might feel like, well, people don't understand, they're not going through the same thing. But all these energies we are experiencing collective, they all showing up in our life in one way or another, but everybody is feeling it in one way or another. I have not met anyone that can say, oh, what you mean? There's nothing
Right.
going on in
No,
my
no.
life. I mean, I may be just attracting the people that have things going on in their life, but and this can also help if we understand there is a meaning. We might not understand the meaning right now, but eventually we will. And this is, everybody can look at their own life, assuming people watching these are adults. You can look at your life where things happen in your life that made no sense, and now, certain amount of years later, you look back at it and you go, yeah, actually, it wasn't great, but it was good that it happened, or it led to something else, right, which was
Yep.
positive. It's the same
Exactly.
thing. We might not, because we are in the midst of it, we can't see the forest for the tree, but understanding
Yes.
there is a meaning and you're not alone. You're not
Yeah.
alone. We all going through this together, and it's everybody's feeling the feels in one way or another. And this could help.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. It may not even be until, you know, October, November before we actually can look back and see what it was all about. Just
Oh, I
because
think it's
we're in
gonna
it.
be in 9 years when we have the next round of eclipses. In like, you
Oh,
know, not
yeah.
trying
I
to,
mean,
like, you know, like make people up. I mean, we might have more understanding of this process right
more
now, but
understanding for sure.
you know, the because as I was saying to you, we will not have a full moon lunar eclipse in Aries this time around at all, and so
No.
the new moon Libra solar eclipse in October, when the things will shift for us, because that will be in a new phase to the south node. We will not have a full moon to that moon either, like not full moon
No.
eclipse, because the
No.
nodes will shift in January. So we will probably see more with regards to where world is going and where our life is going, where is it shifting into, probably next decade. But with regards to the energies we are experiencing right now that we are confused about, because Mars is in Pisces after all, we might be very confused or feel very lost and very hazy, just like you said, Jeffrey Wolf Green said. Well, you just need to connect with yourself, and then eventually you will understand why all this had to take place.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
Cool. So I
Yeah.
think we leave it at that for now, and we
Let's
chat
leave
some
it at
more
that.
with the solar eclipse in Aries.
Yeah.
And yeah, just give us the updates, Adrienne.
Well, I'm hoping that my website is ready by this solar eclipse. That's the way it's looking. I'm putting the finishing touches on it now. So soon you'll be able to reach me at jaskieran.com, jaskieran.astrology.com.
Wonderful. And I think, as me and you discussed, is a perfect launch.
I know it is, right? Yeah.
Right, for you anyway. I'm not saying everybody go and launch businesses on an eclipse, but you know, me
Yeah.
and Adrienne, we know what we're talking about here with regards to you.
Yeah,
Use your
for sure.
discernment.
But up until then, you can reach out to me on my Facebook page. I have Jaskiran Astrology, and yeah, Substack. I have a moon report that I place every 2 weeks on my Substack account at Jaskiran Astrology as well.
For people who prefer to read.
For people who
Or
prefer
both.
to read. And I try to go into depth and describe all of the alignments and then kind of put what my understanding and spin is on it at the end. So
Perfect.
maybe it can be helpful.
Lovely. And for me, same as always, you can find me everywhere on social media and my website as well, moonnightsoul369.com. And thank you again, Adrienne, for getting together for this delightful conversation. And
Yeah.
I will look forward to the next time. And thank everybody for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. Bye, everyone.
Take care.